The uncanny valley can be defined as the phenomenon in which a computer-generated figure or humanoid robot bearing a near-identical resemblance to a human being arouses a sense of unease or revulsion in the person viewing it. Examples can be wax figures, dolls, bad CGI, whatever this is, and even police sketches. While the majority of facial composites look rather normal, something along the lines of this, in recent years, some more disturbing police sketches have risen in popularity, mainly due to the whole uncanny valley thing I was just talking about. Believe it or not, images like this aren't just a result of some creepypasta or something similar. This was actually used to try and find a real human person. Throughout this video, I'll be covering some of the most recognized and popular Uncanny Valley police sketches, so be sure to stay tuned after a word from our sponsor.
Be sure to subscribe to Jaden Salads and follow him on Instagram. You can also get some fire merch by going to jadensalads.com to buy t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Join the Discord in the description for potential giveaways, and make sure to leave a like on the video.
This little guy has become pretty popular, and has predominantly appeared on social medias like TikTok and YouTube for different reasons. The main reason being the Mandela Catalog ARG by Alex Kister. Basically, the Mandela Catalog is a series of really well done videos that are super creepy and can be interpreted in a couple different ways. The YouTuber Wendigoon actually has a 10-hour long analysis video where he goes into the different theories of the Mandela Catalog, if this is something that looks interesting to you. But anyways, at 14 minutes and 20 seconds of the first Mandela Catalog video, this happens. Who is this guy? This find was pretty easy, thanks to someone on Reddit who found the origins. Random people on this website are the only reason I even get views, so thanks to this person. I started to do some digging, and a user of the Mandela Catalog subreddit suggested some time back that the Intruder image originated from a 2007 news article involving a burglar attacking a woman in the Missouri area. While I do advise taking it with a grain of salt, a thread on the forum board FARC seems to discuss it as well. Same general time period, same news station. While most people on the FARC forum were laughing at how silly this picture is, I'm glad there were some people who saw how creepy it can be.
Good old-fashioned nightmare fuel.
So, more than likely, this dude originated from this poorly written news article. Kirkwood police are looking for a man who broke into a woman's home and assaulted her before taking her purse, camera, and laptop. Around 6:30 p.m. Saturday, the woman returned to her home in the 300 block of George Avenue when she heard a noise coming from another part of the home, police said. When the woman went to investigate, she found the man standing in a room. The man approached and hit the woman across the face, knocking her to the ground, police said. The man then ran out of the house with the woman's belongings. Police said this article sucks. The woman did not know if the man had a vehicle. Police said the homeowner was not seriously injured. Police released a composite sketch of the man. He is described as white, with defined facial features and acne marks on his face. He is between 17 to 24 years old, stands about 6 feet tall, and weighs about 170 pounds. He was wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, and police asked anyone with information to call St. Louis Regional Crime Stoppers. As far as I know, this creature has never been caught. The first time I've seen this man was from Blame It on Jorge's video, Erratas, the mysterious word you shouldn't search for. In the thumbnail and throughout the video, you'll come across this face. You don't really have to know about the whole Erratas thing, by the way. It's just that this face was connected to the whole online mystery that was Erratas and pretty much popularized it. With that being said, here's a clip from that Blame It on Jorge video.
Contained a strange image of an elongated face. Further investigation reveals that the image is a police sketch of a serial rapist, last seen in Maui, Hawaii.
So, ever since the entire topic of Erratas went viral about 4 years ago, we've pretty much known the origin of this photo. As you can see in Jorge's video, he was a Hawaiian rapist. But let's dig just a little deeper than that. It's at this point in my video, by the way, that some dark and more disturbing stuff is going to be talked about, so there's your final trigger warning. There's not going to be any jump scares or anything, just really messed up stuff. Anyway, here is an archived page from the Honolulu-based news website Star Bulletin. On August 26, 2005, this post would be made, accompanied by the infamous Erratas picture. The sketch released Wednesday described the suspect as 6 feet to 6 feet 3 inches tall, possibly Chinese Hawaiian, with a long, slender, clean-shaven face and who might own a white or light-colored van. According to the article, the SA that this mysterious person had committed was the 4th attack against an elderly woman within the last 12 weeks. You would have to imagine that this guy was more than likely responsible for all of the attacks, but the article also states that none of them are known to be connected. Thankfully for the 72-year-old who prompted the search for this figure, it says that she was grabbed from behind but was able to pull the pin out of a handheld electronic alarm, prompting her to be freed. Once again, there's no information that I could find that would suggest that this guy got caught. This image has always creeped me out pretty bad, and the origins for this one are actually pretty disturbing. To start off, this one isn't even a police sketch, but rather what's known as a facial reconstruction. In the case that I'm going to be talking about, we have to go back to June 5th, 2014, when the body of a missing woman called Gamez was identified. Gamez had been missing for over 2 years at the time, alongside another woman, Laura Simonson. They had both met up with a man named Steven Zelich through the internet, but were unfortunately murdered in the process. Steven was a former police officer, and for whatever twisted reason, he decided to take the lives of these two women, and then managed to dump their remains on the side of a road in suitcases. Whenever the suitcases would be found, the bodies were obviously not in good shape, because, dead people decompose, it's not a fun thing to think about. But that being said, Laura's body would be identified rather quickly through her dental records, but Jenny at the time was completely untraceable, which led to the creation of this rather unsettling picture. The point of this image and picture similar to this is to highlight the predominant facial features of a person's face. For instance, this picture has a heavy emphasis on the crooked teeth, thin nose, and cheekbones, and the end result is pretty uncanny. Thankfully though, this image was broadcasted on the news and shared around in different ways, and the parents of Gamez would actually come forward and confirm that this was their missing daughter, all thanks to this picture. Side by side, you can see the similarities, and it was thankfully a useful facial reconstruction. As far as the dude who absolutely sucks in this story, he's currently in prison for life, and rest in peace to the girls.
Hey, what's up guys, I'm Snook. Thank you for Jaden Salads for inviting me out for this collab. And alright, enough yapping, let's get into it. This police sketch of a man with a rather interesting haircut dates back to this article from October 27th, 2017. The article reads as follows. Police have released a composite sketch of a suspect wanted in connection to an incident where a RCMP member was shot at. The vehicle had no lights on and no license plate. After pulling over and activating the cruiser's emergency equipment, the officer was shot at by the occupant of the Cadillac, described as a thin, black male, who then fled towards Saskatoon. The officer was not injured. The rest of the article states that an investigation went underway, but the suspect was ultimately never found, and we've only been left with one of the strangest police sketches in recent memory. In February of 2008, this police sketch of a person in a motorcycle helmet would make its round among many different forums and news sites. The majority of sites and blogs that would post this image would be accompanied with the following text. The Royal Thai Police have released a sketch of a man suspected of stealing 200,000 baht from a government savings bank in Bangkok several weeks ago. According to a report on this Japanese language news site, this sketch is based on the recollections of eyewitnesses, who say the suspect wore a motorcycle helmet at the time of the robbery. Have you seen him? Now, what I just read is usually the only information that is given about the individual and the crime they committed. You would think that a bank robbery done by a man in a helmet would be a bigger deal, but it's somehow a pretty underground story with little to no details. I tried looking at the original news article, but the page is no longer available. After putting the link into the Wayback Machine, I managed to access the article, although it doesn't seem to provide us with any other information. For those who are curious, here's what the alleged bank looks like, and it'll remain a mystery of who robbed it back in 2008. In the thumbnail of my most popular video, you can see this face front and center, and they were given the name Mr. Cruel. This individual was an Australian child R-word and kidnapper throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Unfortunately, this horrible person would never be caught for their crimes, as they would wear this tailored balaclava depicted in the infamous police sketch. When the hunt for Mr. Cruel first started, there was a $100,000 reward for information that would lead to his arrest. And in 2016, the reward money would even be raised to $1 million. Yet in 2024, there's still no one to be held responsible. Although while making this video, I did come across someone on Reddit who suspects that their dad is Mr. Cruel, which is something, I guess. For a little more in-depth explanation on everything, you can watch the segment I have on Mr. Cruel in my iceberg that covers many unsolved true crime cases.
This lesser-known police sketch of a wide-eyed man with a hoodie over his head was the result of a man who looked into the windows of girls' apartments in Citrus Heights, California. Supposedly, this guy caused at least 9 police reports for following women to their apartments and then staring into their windows. Along with this, there was also an SA incident that is connected to this guy, so that's worth mentioning. Whenever this police sketch got into the public's hands back in March of 2016, it received more amusement than concern, as the eyes on this dude are pretty, he's got some big ol' eyes. This would ultimately cause the police to come out and confirm that the man's eyes are accurately depicted in the sketch. And as you can imagine, there was no capture for this guy, so he's probably still out there somewhere, and he's kinda hard to miss, so feel free to call the cops if you see someone with these eyes. For the final Uncanny police sketch of this video, it is arguably one of the most recognizable faces me and Snook have talked about. This creepy face has been featured in the Mandela catalog, Nextbot video games, and even has ties to a variety of different urban legends like the Celine Delgado mystery. With all of that out of the way, this police sketch was of a serial killer and serial R-word by the name of Derrick Lee Todd. From 1993 to the early 2000s, Derrick would murder at least 7 women in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. Initially, law enforcement had thought that the murderer of these girls was white, so Derrick was never really looked into as a suspect, despite having a criminal history of stalking women. Moving forward, Derrick would eventually be caught whenever a victim would come forward to police, and they would help identify what Derrick looked like. Using a software called Faces made by IQ Biometrics Inc., the victim and law enforcement would eventually create this face, a face that most resembled Derrick from the victim's memory. Because of this, and DNA evidence that would also prove that Derrick did the things he did, he would end up getting caught in May of 2003, and would die on death row in 2016 due to heart complications. It's safe to say that Derrick Lee Todd was a horrible human. This guy was an absolute piece of trash in and out of the courtroom. Rest in peace to the victims. I also thought that I should mention this, but you can actually buy the Faces program for yourself, the same program that helped catch people like Derrick Lee Todd. But it'll just cost you around $500. I personally don't have a reason to use this software, but it does seem pretty interesting. You can literally create anybody's face on this thing, as that's kind of the point, but I just thought it would be cool to show you guys. I'm sure this is far more useful than your ordinary police sketches. Well, thank you for watching the video all of the way. I don't have much else to add, but I do have some people I want to shout out. Actually, it's a lot of people to shout out. First and foremost, thank you to Snook for getting some entries done in this video. He makes some pretty long-form content over a variety of different topics, so go give him some support and tell him I said hey. Along with that, huge shout out to the longtime channel friend, Mustlord, for providing the majority of background music throughout the video. I listed each track I used, along with their Bandcamp in the description where you can find most of their music. They are really talented at what they do, so go check them out if you're into ambient or liminal sounding music. I also want to say this. Look at this awesome freaking fan art of my little alien mouse character. It's actually the coolest thing ever to see these pictures. Like, some of these are so freaking good, and it just means a lot, so thank you guys. Now, lastly, here's a shout out to the dudes on my Patreon. Even though I don't really post content on there, I'm sorry. Basmic, Bella M, Damn Sandy, 3LMMO, Eyeball Dude, Jera, Sinful, Josh S, Josh Wynn, Landon Rodriguez, Leon S, Lexi Bunny, Lottie Dottie, Master Shake, Miko, Mustlord, Patlov, RBC Denson. I believe you're new, so thank you. Share, Shiny breaks in, hopefully I'm saying that right, The Good Bunch, and Desire.